What a weekend. Let's go back to Saudi Arabia. Let's talk about what happened. Israel Adesanya looked great in the first round. He said all the right things heading into that fight. He said all the right things to the media, on his blogs, on his YouTube channel. And in the first round, it looked, you forget, the Strickland fight, he did not look good. He did not look like himself. The DDP fight, he did look good. He had moments there. Eventually, he lost in the fourth round via submission. In this fight, first round, looked very good. Looked very solid, looked very competent and confident, and seemed like there was a path to a very, impressive victory for him. And then everything changed in the second round. And in the moment, gave Imavov his props, wins via TKO, but I said it was not without controversy. Oh, this pissed people off. Oh, this pissed people off. Controversy could be defined as many different things. And the controversy, as I clarified 10 seconds later, was that Izzy should have taken some time. He should have taken some time after he was accidentally poked in the eye. There's a sequence there in the second round. Here it is. Get rid of the lower third for a second, please. 4:43. This is the very beginning of the second round. Okay, well, here you see, do we have a picture before this? Or no? Goddard steps in. This is right after the poke. You see you see his stance. Okay, keep going. All right. He's fighting southpaw. Right foot forward, switches stance, goes to orthodox, and this is when he gets blasted. All this happened within the span of 20, 30 seconds. This is not me taking anything away from Nassourdine Imavov. He did exactly what he had to do. We saw Alex Pereira get hit with a below-the-belt shot against Jamal Hill. He said, I'm good to Herb Dean, kept going, he won. In this case, and I'm not suggesting that Izzy tried to do the same thing, but in retrospect, the controversy, if you will, is that he should have taken time, clearly. Him switching stances in that moment, 5 seconds later, would suggest that he was bothered. Nassourdine went in there and blasted him. And I didn't think the stoppage was early. I've talked about some stoppages in the past from Goddard that I thought were early. In this case, I did not think it was early. I thought he was done. And even after, credit to Izzy, literally like an hour or two later, he posts a video on his social media reacting to the fight, rewatching the fight. Here he is with his manager, Tim Simpson, and he says, yeah, fair play. One great moment here in this sequence as he's watching in his hotel room or wherever he's not in that car, but he's in some kind of room, and he's listening to the commentary, and Laura Sanko says, something like, that Nassourdine kills the legend, and he's like, I'm still here. I thought this was great. This is when he's watching it. Do we have? Could we play the audio from this? This is him watching.
He already just rested from the thing. Yeah. Oh.
One great line right here.
Fair game.
See? Gives props.
Fair game. Fuck. Niggas doing the fucking stripper splits.
Here it comes.
One shot to kill a legend. That was unbelievable. Adesanya's not happy though.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, that's good shit from Izzy. And credit to him. Watches it, isn't complaining, posts that. Not a lot of people would do that an hour later. He lost fair and square. The only controversy to me, and it's on Izzy's side, he should have just taken the time. He should have just taken a minute to regroup. Clearly it bothered him. Accidental, nothing more should have happened, and he got blasted right after. It was a definite game changer, a turning point in that fight. And he has to live with that. And now he has lost 3 fights in a row for the first time in his career. He's only 35, but you're starting to stare at a situation where you're on this losing streak. People are starting to say you're done, you're over the hill. I don't agree. I don't think that he is. Does he fight for the belt again? I don't know. He's only 1 or 2 away always at this point. If he loses 5, 6 in a row, that would be a problem. You have to remember the guy has around 75 or so kickboxing / Muay Thai fights on his resume before he really started on this MMA journey. So despite the fact that he isn't the oldest fighter on the roster, or at least among the contenders, he's got a lot of, a lot of tread on those tires. And so he has to determine if he wants to do this. He has to determine, we heard that stuff from Eugene Behrman that, the last camp wasn't great and that he only wanted to be involved if he was truly invested, and he seemed like he was invested. And maybe there is something to the fact that against the top dogs, he can't be that guy anymore. I don't know if Nassourdine Imavov is a top dog per se. We're seeing two top dogs fight on Saturday. Obviously, Khamzat is waiting in the wings. I'd love to see Imavov fight Akayo Bohalio next. I think that fight would make a lot of sense. Chimaev versus Imavov doesn't make sense to me. Chimaev should be next for the belt. He should fight the winner. I mean, the title fight is literally in 5 days from now. He should be next. You got a ready-made superstar waiting in the wings. And that's the big thing as far as the UFC is concerned, in my opinion. The UFC, every time I go on these radio shows, every time I go on these podcasts, and especially when I talk to like mainstream, quote unquote, general sports shows, they always ask me about who's the next star, who's the next this guy, who's the next A-lister, who's the next pay-per-view draw, who's the next Conor McGregor, who's the next John Jones, Anderson Silva, GSP. And I usually am always saying like boom, 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 boom. We are approaching a territory now where it feels like there's a bit of a superstar shortage. Izzy not being, a top guy anymore, or at least as of right now, is a problem. He is beloved. You don't have Sean O'Malley as champion. Who knows if, when Conor McGregor ever fights again? Who knows how many John Jones has left? Like, there is a superstar shortage right now. And so Khamzat is a superstar. Khamzat needs to fight for the belt next. You can't put him in there against a Akayo or an Imavov and risk him losing. It's going to be very interesting as some of these guys start to move on, and Izzy was, beloved. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do with him, and also what he does. I still think there are fights out there for him. I still think there are interesting matchups out there for him. I think it's really up to him. Does he want to keep going? Because he's not getting. Yes, that was a stoppage, but he's not. It doesn't look like he has lost a step. It doesn't look like he is not that guy, who can hang. It's just, in this case, he got beat by a guy who capitalized on a situation. In the last fight, he lost to the champion and was looking good. In the previous fight, he lost to the eventual champion, and he did not look good. Like, there is nothing you can say about that fight. He did not look like himself, and perhaps that's the beginning of the end. It's just crazy how quickly things change in this sport. All of a sudden, a guy who was undefeated for several fights in a row is now in the midst of a 3-fight losing streak. What did you guys think? Let's bring in the boys. Did you think he should have taken more time? I really felt like more should have been made of that decision. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe he gets knocked out if that never happens. But to me, when I saw him not take any time and then 5 seconds later get blasted, I was like, man, he's going to have to live with that one. That was a grave error. What do you think, Rick?
Didn't have much of a problem with that. Just felt like he got caught. And you spoke about, like, what do you do from here? I'll be honest, and maybe you'll remember this. I didn't love this matchup. And not because I don't think Israel Adesanya can compete with Nassourdine Imavov. In fact, myself, Pete, and Connor were on the post show after the fact. I thought he looked as good as he's ever looked. Like, he looked extremely sharp. He was on the front foot. He seemed to be fading, toward the end of the round, just slowing down a little bit. But he looked sharp to me. He looked like he could compete. It looked like he had Imavov frustrated. But against a lesser opponent, I feel like that's one where you can get your mojo back and you can get a win, like a solid win in the books, and then build upon it and move on from there. So I didn't love this matchup, if I'm being honest, because I thought this was a possible outcome. And also, it doesn't tell me where Israel Adesanya really is, because I know he can compete with Imavov. Like, I saw it. I saw that first round. I know he can compete with him. He got caught in the second. I really like, is the next fight going to be against another ranked guy who's just as tough as this? I kind of want to see him take a step backward and see where he truly is at, because I know he can compete with these top guys, but I know that it's going to be a closer fight now. I know that it's going to be a chance where he does get caught. So I never loved this fight from the start. Even after, now I'm wondering, what the value was. Hopefully it can, launch Imavov at least. But I thought Izzy looked good, man. I really don't come away from that fight thinking Izzy made many mistakes. He got caught.
And PT, I just want to reiterate because I can totally see people saying like you're not giving Imavov credit. No, he won fair and square. He did nothing wrong. But I think to ignore the sequence there and the poor decision making by Izzy is not right. Clearly something happened. He switched stances and then he got blasted in that moment. And I know he switches stances from time to time, but it was clear in retrospect that it was an issue. That takes nothing away from Imavov. He's a guy who I think should fight Caio next and who is now in that sort of top 5, top 6 discussion. But if you look at the top 15 of the middleweight division, 6 is Bohalio, Vittori is 7, Cannonier is 8, 9 is Brendan Allen, 10 is Dolice, 11 is Costa. By the way, breaking news, Izzy has beaten a lot of these guys. You can't tell me that he's not a top 10 middleweight. The question for me is, does he even want to do this anymore? Is there anything left for him to get excited about, to be motivated about? That, to me, is the question he's going to have to answer. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.